there, and welcome to the Okey's crochet tutorial for making your very own adorable French Bulldog. I'm Haley and I'm so excited to crochet with you today. In this video, we'll go step by step so you can follow along at your own pace. Before we dive in, here are some of the basic crochet skills or stitches you'll need for this project. Chain, single crochet, increase, decrease, magic ring alternative, sewing, stuffing, and using safety eyes. If you're new to any of these, don't worry. You can find quick tutorials for them right above this video on this page, or head to our Crochet Basics section on the tutorial page of our website. Take your time practicing before jumping in here. There's no rush. Let's take a look at everything included in your kit to make your cute little French Bulldog. If you're using the Okey's kit, here's what's included. Hook, got 3 eyes, stitch, marker, and a yarn needle, along with stuffing and the yarn you need. Now a quick note before we get started. Don't hesitate to pause or rewind anytime. You've got this. Alright, let's get started. Grab your yarn and hook and we'll begin with creating a magic ring alternative. Alright, so for round 1 of the head and body, we're going to start by creating our magic ring alternative. Hold the yarn in your non-dominant hand. Wrap it around in an X. Take your hook, go under the first one, grab the second one, pull up a loop, grab the second one again, pull up another loop, hold your finger on this loop right here and lightly pull on this end to tighten up that knot, and then we're going to chain 1. Now in the second chain from our hook, we're going to do 12 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Go ahead and place your stitch marker. All right. For round number 2, we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times all the way around the circle. All right, start here, single crochet, increase number 1, single crochet, increase number 2, single crochet, increase number 3, single crochet, increase number 4, single crochet, increase number 5, single crochet, increase number 6. All right, move that stitch marker up. All right, in round 3, we're going to be doing a single crochet, then an increase, and then a single crochet. And we're going to repeat that step 6 times. So, single crochet, increase number 1, single crochet, single crochet, increase number 2, single crochet, single crochet, increase number 3, single crochet, single crochet, increase number 4, single crochet, single crochet, increase number 5, single crochet, single crochet, increase number 6, and a single crochet. All right, move that stitch marker. All right, for round 4, we're going to be doing 3 single crochets and an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, increase number 2, 1, 2, 3, increase number 3, 1, 2, 3, increase number 4, 1, 2, 3, increase, 5, 1, 2, 3, increase number 6. All right, move the stitch marker up. right, for round number 5, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets, an increase, and then 2 more single crochets, and we're going to repeat all of that 6 times. So start 1 single crochet, 2, increase, 1, 2, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, for round number 6, we're going to be doing 5 single crochets and an increase, and we're going to be repeating that 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase number 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase number 6. All right, move that stitch marker up. All right, now for round number 7, we are going to be doing 3 single crochets and an increase, and then 3 more single crochets, and we are going to repeat that 6 times. All right. One, 2, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3, 1, 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 2, oops, 3, increase, 1, 2, 3. All right, move that stitch marker. All right, so for rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, we're just going to be single crocheting all the way around for 48 single crochets. So go ahead. We're going to start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, oops, 48. All right, move that stitch marker up. All right, round number 9, same thing, 48 single crochets. Round 9 complete. Move that stitch marker up. All right, for round 10, we're going to be crocheting all the way around again. Single crocheting. All right, move that stitch marker up. Round 11, another round of 48 single crochets. move the stitch marker up. Round 12, we're going to single crochet 48 all the way around again. All right, move the stitch marker up. And round 13, our last time single crocheting 48 around. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, round 14, we're gonna do 3 single crochets, a decrease, and then 3 more single crochets, and we're gonna repeat that 6 times. So 1, 2, 3. All right, we're gonna use an invisible decrease, but you can use whatever type of decrease works best for you. Yarn keeps slipping off the hook. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Decrease number 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Decrease number 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Decrease number 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Decrease number 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Decrease number 6. 1, 2, 3. All right, move that stitch marker up. Round 15 is going to be 5 singles and a decrease, repeated 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Decrease number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Decrease number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. All right, move that stitch marker up. All right, round 16, we're going to do 2 single crochets, a decrease, and then 2 single crochets, and we're going to repeat all that 6 times. 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 1, 2, 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 decrease, 1, 2. All right, move the stitch marker up. Round 17 is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. We're going to repeat that 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, for round 18, we're going to do 2 single crochets, a decrease, and then 2 more single crochets, and we're going to repeat that 4 times. 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, we're gonna add a little bit of stuffing to the head, and we're also gonna add the eyes. All right, go ahead and decide where you want the eyes. On this bulldog, you can see they are right here, so we're gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So between rounds 10 and 11 is where I have the eyes on here. So let's count again over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. We're going to go ahead and insert the eyes. At this point, there's no front or back. So just insert them where looks best to you. And you kind of want a lot of space in between because we have to put the nose in between. So probably about 6 or 7 stitches visible. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches are visible in between the eyes. You can go one more over if you feel like that's not nearly far enough for you, but I think I'm going to keep mine right there. All right. We'll get some backs on there. And then time to add the stuffing. All right, round 19, we're going to be doing 20 increases. Let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, move that stitch marker up. All right, so rounds 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26 are all going to be rounds of just 40 single crochets a round. So let's start round 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. All right. Move the stitch marker. All right, round 21, same thing, 40 stitches all the way around. All right, move the stitch marker up and we'll be on round 22. All right, round 22, we're just gonna single crochet all the way around. right, move the stitch marker up. Round 23, single crochet all the way around. All right, move the stitch marker up. Round 24, we're going to be doing the same thing. Single crochet all the way around. right, move the stitch marker up. Round 25, same thing, single crochet all the way around. All right, move the stitch marker up. And round 26 is going to be our last time single crocheting all the way around. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, round 27, we're going to be doing 4 single crochets, a decrease, and then 4 more single crochets, and we're going to repeat that 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, move the stitch marker. Round 28, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets, a decrease, and then 2 single crochets, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. One, 2, decrease, 1, 2, 1, 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 2, decrease, 1, 2. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, round 29, 3 single crochets and a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 'decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease. All right, move the stitch marker up. All right, and we're going to take a second to stuff the bulldog body. So grab your stuffing. And again, remember to kind of stuff it in small sections so that we can make sure we get it all the way up into the neck and get him nice and full of stuffing. All right, I'm not going to stuff him all the way yet. I just kind of stuffed him a little bit, and then I'm going to do one more round and continue to stuff him, just because it's so much. So for round 30, we're going to do a single crochet, a decrease, and then a single crochet, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So single, decrease, single, 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 single, decrease, and a single. All right, move the stitch marker up. If you feel like your bulldog needs more stuffing in the body, go ahead and add it now. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. All right. Round 31, we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So single crochet, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease, single, decrease. All right, move the stitch marker. At this point, I'm going to take the stitch marker completely out. And for this last round, round 32, we're just going to do 6 decreases. So at this point, I find it really hard to do an invisible decrease, so I'm just going to do a regular decrease. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, 6. Go ahead and pull it through. Little stuffing's coming out. All right, go ahead and cut your yarn tail and pull it all the way through. All right, we're gonna thread the yarn tail into a yarn needle. And then we're going to thread it through the front loops of each of the loops in our, each of the stitches in our last round to kind of close up that last hole. All right, and then you're just gonna kind of weave it in. With the Bulldog, you will see the stuffing coming out of it just because it's black yarn with white stuffing, so you're just gonna see it. You're not doing anything wrong. Cut that yarn tail off. And now we have our Bulldog body complete. All right, so next we're gonna start on the Bulldog ears. So grab your black yarn again. And we're gonna make 2 ears, so we're gonna repeat these twice. So we're gonna start with doing our magic ring alternative. All right, and then we're gonna do 6 single crochets for the magic ring alternative. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, next we're gonna do 6 increases. I'm not gonna use a stitch marker yet just because it's so small, but if you need to, go for it. So increase number 1. Increase number 2. Increase number 3. Increase number 4. Increase number 5. Increase number 6. All right, go ahead and either move your stitch marker up or place your stitch marker. All right, next we're going to do 12 single crochets. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, move your stitch marker up. All right, next we're going to do a single crochet and then an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase. All right, move the stitch marker up. And for rounds 5 and 6, we're going to be just doing single crochets all the way around. You should have 18 total. So we'll start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Move the stitch marker up. All right, 18 single crochets one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Move the stitch marker up. All right, this next part is totally up to you how you want to do it. If you want your bulldog's ears to go in a little bit more near the base of the head, the next round you're gonna do, round 7, is you're gonna do a single crochet and then a decrease. And you're gonna repeat that 6 times. I did not do that on this bulldog. I just curved the ends in a little bit. So we're just gonna keep going out with our, keeping it at 18 single crochets, and we're just gonna do 2 more rounds of that. So it's totally up to you on the look of your ears. But I'm just gonna do 18 single crochets for round 7 and 18 for round 8. If you want it to go in a little bit on the ears, you would do the single crochet and a decrease repeated 6 times for round 7, and then 12 single crochets for round 8. Of course, you can always alter the pattern to change up the look of your amigurumi. So if you want to do anything different, go ahead and change it. This is just how I am doing it. All right, move the stitch marker up. And I'm going to do one more round of 18 single crochets. All right, go ahead and take the stitch marker out. Now I'm gonna fold my ear in half and single crochet across right here. If you wanna add any more to make the ears a little bit longer, you can totally add more rows to it. I think I'm gonna add a couple more rows. Again, it's totally just up to you on how you want your bulldog's ears to look. So you feel free to change them, alter them in any ways. All right, so I'm gonna fold my bulldog ear in half, and then I'm gonna single crochet through both sides of it. All right, slip stitch at the end and pull through, leaving a long yarn tail so we can sew it onto the head later. All right, and we're gonna repeat those same steps and we're gonna make a second ear. So magic ring alternative with 6 single crochets in the second chain from your hook. Four, 5, 6, all right. Then we're gonna do 6 increases. All right, increase number 1. Increase number 2. increase 3, increase number 4, increase number 5, increase number 6. All right, now we're going to do 12 single crochets. One. Oh my gosh. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, move that stitch marker up. All right, now we're going to do a single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. Single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, single, increase, all right, now we're going to single crochet around for 18 single crochets for rounds 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Move that stitch marker. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All right, move your stitch marker. And again, just repeat whatever you did on the other ear so that they're the same, unless you want your bulldog's ears to be a little different. So I'm going to single crochet around 18 2 more times. But again, totally up to you. All right, move the stitch marker up again. 18 single crochets again. All right, move that stitch marker. And again, you can add as many rows as you need to. Let's see, on this one I ended up doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows, but totally up to you. So I'm gonna do 18 around 2 more times. All right, again, finish it off with those single crochets. Fold the ear in half. Single crochet across the top. Slip stitch at the end. All right, leave a nice long yarn tail. All right, now we have both bulldog ears done. All right, next we're going to be working on the bulldog's nose. So grab your black yarn again, and we're going to start by making our magic ring alternative. 6 single crochets in the second ring from, or the second chain from hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then we're just going to do 6 single crochets around twice. So for rounds 2 and 3. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sure you flip it so that the right side is facing out. All right, do another 6 single crochets around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're gonna go ahead and cut the yarn off right there. Don't leave a super long yarn tail for this one. Tuck the first yarn, the shorter yarn tail, into the center. Place that off to the side for a second. And we're gonna repeat those steps again. So magic ring alternative. 6 single crochets in that second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then 6 single crochets around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember to flip it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now don't cut this one off. Once you've finished that third round, you're going to take your other half of the nose, and this time we're going to be doing 6 single crochets, but we're going to go around both of them. So insert your hook into the other part of the nose. Yarn over and single crochet like normal. Whoops, slipped. I'm going to actually cut the first yarn tail even shorter and tuck it inside of the ear, or of the nose, so that I know exactly what yarn tail I'm working with. All right, insert your hook into this other part of the nose. And we're going to do 12 single crochets, 6 in each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then tuck this yarn tail into there. And then we're gonna start our hook in the other part of the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So when you're done, you should have something that looks like this, where you've got both parts of the nose and they're attached in the center there. All right, now we're going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 3 times around. So 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease. All right, next we're going to do a single crochet and then a decrease, and we're going to repeat that 3 times. So single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. All right, and then I'm just going to take right across the top where the hole is, and I'm just going to single crochet across, just like 2 or 3, depending on how big yours is. And then finish off with a slip stitch. Leave a nice long yarn tail. All right, now we're gonna take our big eye right here, and we're gonna stick it in the center. Like that. And it's really thick, so it might be kind of hard to put the back on through both. So if you haven't already single crocheted the top shut, you can stick it in the middle, or you don't have to put the back on it, or you can just really squish it. So we're gonna try and squish it on. I don't think it's gonna work. So we're just gonna leave it like that. All right. Next part we're gonna do is we're gonna take our black yarn again, and we're gonna make 2 front legs and 2 back legs. Now the patterns are different for both the front and the back legs, so make sure you keep them straight which one you're doing. All right, so for the front legs, we're gonna start with our magic ring alternative. And we're gonna do 10 single crochets in that second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and then for like 8 or 9 rounds, you're just gonna do 10 single crochets all the way up. Just for as long as you want the arms to be. So we're just gonna start with 1 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and then just repeat doing 10 single crochets all the way around until you get your desired length for the arms. right, and when you get that desired length for the arm, you can add a teeny bit of stuffing if you have any. If not, no big deal, but just add like the smallest bit of stuffing just into the end of it. We're gonna stick it all the way down just to kind of give it a little something. If not, no big deal. If you don't want to, doesn't matter. That's just what I'm gonna do. And then we're gonna single crochet across the top. All right, finishing with a slip stitch, leaving a little yarn tail. All right, and we're gonna repeat again for the second arm. So magic ring alternative. All right, 10 single crochets. In that second chain from the hook, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember to flip it. All right, and keep going all the way around till you get that desired length. All right, make sure it's about the same length as your other arm. And then a single crochet across the top. I'm gonna add my stuffing. All right, slip stitch at the end. Leave a little yarn tail. And both of the arms are done. All right, onto the tail. We're gonna start with our magic ring alternative. We're gonna start with 6 single crochets in that second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and then we're gonna do 4 rounds of single crochets all the way around. Again, adjust it however you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember to flip it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you need to, you can tuck the little yarn tail in, or you can cut it really short if it's getting in your way. So I'm going to tuck it in. All right, and I'm going to keep going around. It does get kind of hard to single crochet around just because it's so small. So just do your best to go in every single stitch, but if you accidentally miss one, it's not a huge deal. But do your best. If you need to unwind, restart, do whatever you need to do to make it so that your bulldog looks how you want it to. All right, when you get it to that desired length, single crochet across the top. Finish with a slip stitch and leave a yarn tail. All right, Next we have our legs. So we're gonna start with our magic ring alternative. Oops. And we're gonna do 12 single crochets in that second chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, and then we're just gonna single crochet around, again, as many times as you want until you feel good about the length. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Don't forget to flip it. All right, and keep going until you get that desired length. All right, when you get it to about that desired length, again, add a little stuffing if you want to, just in the very end of it, just to give it a little shape, but you don't have to. And then single crochet it across the top. And you can do however many rows you would like for the legs. It's just how long you want it to be. It's totally up to you. All right, leave a yarn tail. And we're going to repeat for another leg. So magic ring alternative. We're going to do 12 single crochets in there. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my. 11. 12. All right. And then just single crochet around till you get that length again. All right, add a little bit of stuffing to the end of it. Single crochet across the top. All right, leave a yarn tail and we are done with the black yarn. Now the last step to making our cute little bulldog is his little tongue. So we're gonna grab our pink yarn and we're gonna do our magic ring alternative. And then in that second chain from hook, all we're gonna do is we're gonna do one single crochet, and then we're gonna do 3 double crochets. So you're gonna yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops again. All right, and repeat that. So you have 3 double crochets. All right, and then single crochet one more time. And then I like to just slip stitch, pull the yarn, cut off the yarn tail, and there's your tongue. All right, now we're ready to sew our bulldog together. All right, so to start sewing our bulldog together, the first one I'm gonna do is his nose. So we're gonna thread our yarn tail, or thread our yarn needle. And we're just gonna place it right in between the 2 eyes. It's probably the easiest one to place. Again, if you have stuffing coming out, totally normal. It's just because you can see it, just because it's black yarn. So not a big deal. Just pull it off. All right, once you get that sewn across the top, just take your yarn needle and you're gonna pull it out somewhere in the middle of where the nose is gonna be sewn on, and just loop a little bit through the back of the nose, just to kind of keep it stuck to the face right there. Weave that yarn tail through a couple times. All right, and your nose is sewn on. Oops, he's rolling away. And again, you can sew it on as much as you want for that look. All right, for the ears, I'm gonna obviously attach the yarn tail to the yarn needle. And you're just gonna kind of sew it on wherever you feel is gonna look best, up by the eyes. All right. And just sew all the way down. once you sew it where you want it, just sew the other ear so that it's in the same spot on the other side. You can kind of curve it a little bit if you want by kind of pulling. When you sew that last part, you're going to take your needle and insert it kind of in the middle of where you placed the ear. And pull it tight. Here we go. And then weave that yarn tail through. Cut it off. All right, we're gonna sew the second ear on. Thread it through the yarn needle. Right, and again, just kind of sew it where you think looks good. Where it kind of matches the other ear. And then start sewing it on. It's totally up to you on the placement, just wherever you think looks best for your size of ears and for how you want your ears to sit. If you have any stuffing poking out, you can just take your crochet hook and kind of tuck it back in there, pull some of the extras out, take some scissors and trim it, just kind of do whatever you need to do. But again, it's nothing you're doing wrong, it's just that you can really see it on the black stuff, on the black dog. All right, and again, I want to give my ears that little bit of curve to them, so I'm going to insert my hook into the very corner of the ear. And then we're going to kind of pull it to the middle. Like so, and that's going to pull the ear forward, kind of curve the side of it. And then just weave those yarn tails through a little bit. Cut it off. All right, now we have the ears on. Let's move on to the arms and legs and tail. All right. I think I'm going to do the legs first, so that we can get good placement for the arms. All right, so when I'm doing the legs, I kind of like to line it up with the eyes. So I'm going to take mine, and then we're going to put it kind of low down here on some of these last stitches before it starts curving inwards down here. So we're just going to sew it on. sticking to my nail. Weave that end through. And then depending on how you want your leg to be, if you want it to be a little floppier, you're just gonna leave it sewn like that. If you want it to sit more, you can obviously add stitches wherever to pull the leg up more, but we're gonna leave ours floppy like that. All right. Take the other leg. All right, and we're just gonna sew it on. Again, kind of in that same spot that the other leg is. All right, just sew it on. Again, you can alter it however you want. You can place it wherever you want. This is just where I am doing it. Okay, weave these yarn tails through. All right, we've got two little legs on. So now let's go ahead and do the arms. So depending on where you want the arms, kind of what position you want your bulldog to be sitting in, that's where you're going to sew the arms on. So where I'm going to sew mine is I'm going to sew them right in line with the legs, but you can obviously sew yours wherever. And you're going to kind of sew right up here along the crease, or along the spot where his head meets his body. Just for that real seamless look, you're going to do up there. Again, do wherever you want to sew them though. All right, weave that yarn tail through. We're gonna have to do a lot of touch-ups with the stuffing after, which is totally fine. Normally it's not a huge deal, but because the bulldog is black, it makes it more obvious that it's there, so. We'll go through and kind of trim away all the excess stuffing at the end. All right, one arm is on. Let's do the other arm. right, weave in those yarn tails. All right, cut it off. All right, last two things to sew on are the tongue and the tail. Now that we have the arms on. All right, let's do the tail first, just to kind of get all of the essential parts on him. This will help him sit up better, obviously. Again, sew the tail on wherever you think is gonna work best for you, wherever you like it. Obviously, each one is gonna be different because we all did different sizes and different placements, so there's not really an exact placement where you're gonna place the tail, but try and place it on the same line that you place the legs on. Just, you don't want it really any lower because then it's gonna sit on the bottom and you want it to be able to be on the back of him. So just be careful that you don't go super low on the tail placement. And then depending on how you want your tail, you can either like sew it so it sticks down like this, or you can attach it so it kind of goes up, so it can go down, or it can go up, or you can kind of leave it loose so that it can just kind of be wherever. Just, again, totally is up to you what you want to do best. I think I'm just going to leave mine just so that it can kind of move around a little bit, like the arms and legs. I want them all to be able to move so he can go into different positions and sit and lay and do all the cute things. All right, tail is on. Now the finishing touch, we have his adorable little tongue. So before we do that, I'm just gonna kind of clean all of the stuffing up. If you have a lint roller, that actually works really well. But just kind of take all the stuffing. Obviously, you may not be able to get it all off. You may be more patient than I am with this, but try and do your best. All right, so for the tongue, we're gonna be sewing it kind of right here on the nose, but we're not gonna be sewing it to the nose. We're actually gonna be sewing it to the head. So I'm gonna take my tongue and just tie the two yarn tails together. That way it creates a nice spot. We're not having to figure out, where each one's coming from. And then I'm gonna cut off the shorter yarn tail. That way we're just left with the tongue and the long yarn tail for sewing. Make it a little easier on us so we don't have to try and tuck as many yarn tails in. All right. So as far as the tongue goes, you can sew it to the nose if you want to, but you don't have to. You can definitely just tie it or attach it to the head. I kind of like to do a little of both. So I'm gonna kind of lift up the nose as much as I can and attach it kind of right where we attached the nose to the head, in the back there. So we want it to kind of stick out like that. And then I'm gonna also sew it to the head, and this is also gonna kind of help our nose stay in place too. So it's kind of hard to see, but I'll show you up close in a second. And then I'm just gonna keep kind of going around through the nose and through the head, just securing the nose to the head and securing the tongue as well. Making sure you're keeping those stitches kind of hidden And there you go. For that last yarn tail, we're just gonna kind of stick it in underneath the nose, and then we're gonna bring it out just somewhere on his head. Cut it off, and then take your crochet hook and just grab that yarn and pull it all the way through the way it's hidden. All right, and then obviously adjust placement of everything, but you are done with your cute little bulldog. All right, I would love to see all of your guys' creations, so be sure to share it on socials and post and tag Okey Dokey's Crochet so that I can see all of your creations of your adorable Brandon the Bulldog.